Voice checking, everybody. Welcome to House Divided here on Orange Bloods Live on a Monday. I'm Jeff Ketchum, and that is that sexy bastard himself, Chad Hastings, your favorite Aggie. We're going to be with you, who knows, for like an hour or so. We've got buy or sell to end the show. We've got lots of stuff to talk about coming out of a weekend. It feels like there's 100 stories to talk about, but maybe not necessarily the biggest one. That's okay. We're going to ask ourselves the question of whether or not Steve Sarkisian can land the #1 recruiting class in the country. It's been on my brain, but before we do any of that, hit that thumbs up button, smash it, or tap it, whatever you need to do. What up, Cotton, in the Specs chat? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, get notifications, all three of those things. Just make them happen. So, Chad, on a weekend where your Dallas Mavericks have advanced to the Western Conference Finals, on a weekend where the NBA world is just turned upside down, but Miles Turner will be playing in an Eastern Conference championship. So, hey, platform for the former Longhorn on a weekend where the Longhorns won their 15th, that's 5 conference championships.
Oh, silly.
They only have 21 sports.
That's silly.
15 of 21 are Big 12 champions after this weekend. The rowing team gets a championship. I did the math. 71%. That's pretty good. Not too shabby. I guarantee you Chris Del Conte likes that. If I was Chris Del Conte, that would arouse me. I'd be walking around my house like pinching my wife's butt. She'd be like, what's got into you? You sure are frisky. And I'd be like, because we won another Big 12 championship. That's how I would be reacting. Baseball team with a sweep. Softball team does its thing in its regional. Again, there's like a lot of things that went on. Real quick, before we hop into recruiting, any of that stuff move your meter enough that you want to talk about it right off the top, or do we just jump into recruiting?
Well, I think first off, we jump into a $4.99 super chat. If this becomes a thing, Bernsey, it's my new favorite thing. $4.99 Bobby Heenan quote. You listen to me, you go to the top. You don't listen to me, you're never heard from again. Thank you, Bernsey.
Is there a page with Bobby Heenan quotes on them, or is he the foremost expert on Bobby Heenan quotes?
I do not know. I do not know.
Volleyball clap just at the notion that he's the foremost expert of Bobby Heenan quotes.
Yeah, the thing that needs to be talked about for me, Catch, since the show is called House Divided, anytime they get together, it's awesome. But when they get together and it really matters, it's extra awesome. So that softball series is very, very interesting. We'll see if the Aggies can give any resistance to the Longhorns, because that Texas team looks like they're playing great right now. And you mentioned the NBA briefly, not just because I'm a Mavs fan. Mavs and Stars, by the way, both into the conference finals. But Catch, it really feels like one team in the NBA with reputation on the line, with history on the line, with you better win this thing on the line. And then there are 3 teams playing with house money, playing with no pressure, playing with it's either before your time or we didn't really expect you to be here. Like Mavs, Pacers, and T-Wolves are just going full blast on this thing, and all of the pressure lives in Boston for Tatum and Brown to get that ring. Because if they don't, they will be talked about for a long time for why they didn't get it done.
I mean, it feels like it feels like any of the 4 remaining teams could win the championship, and it wouldn't be a total surprise. I'm shocked that we had 2 Game 7s on Sunday and that the road team went in and punked the home team.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that the Nuggets are gone. I'm just assuming a Game 7 is going to be won by the home team, and they were not. I don't remember what I was doing, but I got transfixed into something else. I think I was watching the PGA and was writing my column, and I just kind of forgot about Game 7 between the Pacers and the Knicks. And when I flipped over and they were up by like 25, that's wrong. ESPN has the wrong score up.
Yeah.
Then I saw the actual stream of the game, and I was like,
Yeah, I mean, and for like you said, for both home teams to lose is one thing. At least with the Knicks, we could talk about, well, like 7 guys got hurt during the game. Like everybody broke something during the game. But the Nuggets up 20 in the second half. I was looking for other stuff to watch and just going to check back in occasionally. And all of a sudden I realized, wait a second, got to keep it on this because here comes Minnesota. And then they take it from them. It was incredible.
Yeah, I was half-assed watching that game until in the third quarter, I want to say it was 62-62 or 65-62. And I looked at the screen and went, wait, what just happened? And then from then on,
yeah,
it was a blitzing on behalf of the T-Wolves onto the Nuggets. Wild stuff in the NBA. Let's get started. We'll talk about the recruiting stuff. So here we go. Over the weekend, Chad, I realized I have not done a good enough job kind of verbalizing. I made the comment last week that when I saw Texas win Steve Sarkisian has been a fantastic recruiter since he arrived at Texas. He was a fantastic recruiter at USC. The thing that I thought would happen was that I thought Texas, once they won a Big 12 championship and made it to the playoff, I just felt like there would be a surge in recruiting that would be even a level higher than what we've seen Steve Sarkisian do in the last couple of years, which is back-to-back top 5 classes, and he has the Texas program from a talent standpoint, elite talent. They're in the top 4 in college football. They're next to Alabama. Like that's – in a couple of years, he took them from middle of the pack-ish. I mean, it wasn't good. And in short order, they're right there with Alabama behind Ohio State and Georgia when it comes to most elite of the elite players from a recruiting standpoint and the program. And people were like, what do you expect them to do? Look at their – people kind of took offense to my statement. And clearly, I just wasn't doing a good enough job of explaining because it shouldn't have come across as an insult. Like,
right.
Because clearly there's a lot of respect for what Sarkisian has done as a recruiter, what he does in his career as a recruiter. It occurred to me over the weekend, what I expected was that Texas would sign the number 1 recruiting class in the country. That's the kind of momentum that I thought that Texas – if they were already top 3, top 4, top 5, that answering this question of can they actually do it instead of talking about doing it, I thought would just kind of take them to the moon. It doesn't seem like they're on that trajectory. That if I had to guess, I think they're probably going to finish in the top 5 again. You can start to rattle off in your head, all right, well, they're going to get to Corian Moore, I think, and Jamie French sounds good, and the offensive lineman, Michael Fasusi, probably going to be a Longhorn, and you can start to work your way through how they get to a top 5 class. But I don't know if I completely know the pathway to a number 1 class for this Texas team, unless, and this is where I think the conversation begins, unless they do this June what they've done in each of the last couple of Junes, which is out of nowhere, whether it be Ryan Wingo, whether it be Brandon Baker, whether it be, I mean, they've done such a great job of out-of-state recruiting in the last couple of years. The timing of when they happen, but is different. But we know that they've gone on their runs in June in the last couple of years. If Steve Sarkisian can pull a rabbit out of his hat with 2 or 3 big-time out-of-state guys that are hard to project now, but they come around this summer, then suddenly I think the number 1 recruiting class in the country is in play. And I think we're only talking about between 2 and 4 high-level prospects. It's add a couple of more Brandon Bakers and Ryan Wingos than you signed a year ago. 2 more. And you're probably in that conversation. And I feel like this is on Sark's shoulders. This is what he does. This is why he never worries about recruiting, because he always believes I'll get these kids when I'm able to get them on campus and get in front of them. So there is a way of you're looking at this Texas recruiting class and you're projecting what it's going to do, but we haven't hit June yet. And if the last couple of years are any indicator, there will be a couple of big-time names that end up being Longhorns that maybe we're just not projecting to be Longhorns on what is today, May 20th?
Mm-hmm. I think we need to just start building it up. If you're literally talking about a group that small, then I think we need to see if we can build it up, and then you can tell me, would this get it to a 1? Would this get it to a 1? And we'll do that. Now, before we do that, I think we need to take a deep breath, hold it in. We need to take a breath. We need to hold it in for a second, and then we need to let it out. Tell them about Rogue Shop, Mr. Ketchum.
I mean, I got Rogue 2 feet from me. I don't just talk about Rogue Shop. I eat, breathe, and live Rogue Shop. Go check out the website. They got a little bit of everything. I helped out my mom. My mom was having a tough time. If the guys at Rogue are watching this right now, Richard, you're going to get a real kick out of this. My mom was having a tough time sleeping. And I have a box over here to my left. I tell you what. Before the show is over, I'll get the box. I don't want to get up out of my chair and go, but I have the box over to my left. It's got all kinds of goodies in it. So I took the box to my mom's house. And I said, what in here? Let's figure it out. What's going to help you sleep? We settled on the moon rocks. So I gave my mom some moon rocks over the weekend, and they knocked her ass out. She slept this weekend the best that she slept in weeks. Thank you, Rogue Shop. You're the modern day Calgon. Take me away. She said a quarter of a moon rock knocked her ass out. And I was like, you're damn right it did, because Rogue Shop delivers. Go to the website, scan that QR code, let them deliver for you today a better life. Take the pain away, get some feel good, sleep better, eliminate anxiety. The list goes on and on and on. They can help you get there. Rogue Shop, give them a call. Scan that QR code. Do it now.
There it is.
I got it right here. I'm telling you.
Thanks to Rogue Shop for being a great sponsor. That's a good story. Like to hear those kind of.
Think my mom would be okay with me like telling the stories?
Sure. Yeah, I think she's fine. Absolutely.
I don't think my mom's tripping over the idea of letting the world know that a quarter of a moon rock knocks her ass out and lets her sleep.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Before we jump back into the recruiting conversation, Mark has something to throw in. If Sark maintains 10 wins, the recruits and transfers will be there. Players were hesitant before because of the coach and lack of consistency.
But they haven't been. That's the thing.
Well, maybe it was they were reluctant to get it up to a 1 class. Maybe
that's really hard to do.
Yeah, no, I know. They were getting it into that 3, like you said, 3 to 5 kind of area. My first question to you, Ketch, would be, can you conceive of this being a number 1 class without Decorian Moore? Since it's the name we've been talking about these last few days, let me start there. Could it get to a number 1 class if Decorian Moore is not in it?
No, because I think the thing is you have to like lay the hammer on some 5 stars. You just have to. Like, you're not going to have a number 1 overall class unless you have a foundation of elite of the elite guys. And in Decorian Moore, we're talking about the number 1 prospect in the state of Texas, a top 5 guy. And if you take him out, you're not getting to number 1. You're just not. It looks like there's a very good chance they end up with Decorian Moore, offensive lineman Michael Fasusi, who we've talked about a million times. But then those are like the main 2 guys. I'm not convinced that KJ Lacey's going to get a 5-star ranking. In fact, at some point, I think KJ Lacey's going to fall a little bit. Rivals is really the only ranking service that has KJ Lacey ranked really, really high. I think, there's a chance that he could take a fall. Now, Jamie French is a 5-star, or will, I think, end up being a 5-star, certainly in the Rivals rankings. He's 22 in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
So that would give you 3. I think the problem behind that is that then it becomes less obvious. We start going over the 5-star map, and it's like, who are they going to get to? Because you're going to need 5 or 6 5-stars.
If they added Lamont Rogers,
probably not even. I mean, that helps.
Right.
He's a super blue chip, but you really it's like 2 or 3 extra 5-stars. And when I originally thought number 1 class is on the table, I thought if Texas played in the playoffs, one guy in particular that I thought it would make a huge difference in is Jonah Williams, the defensive back out of Galveston Ball. First of all, he wants to stay closer to home. So you're not dealing with Georgia and Ohio State and Alabama. You know what I mean? You're not dealing with those problems. It's A&M, Oklahoma. Those are the main 2 schools. And I thought, you know what? If Texas makes the fucking playoffs.
No, I know. That's where, if you're a fan, you're thinking to yourself, if you make the playoffs, even though Oklahoma won 10 games, we all know what A&M did in 23 and are having to change head coaches. If you're a Texas fan, you're not going to be able to accept losing a massive battle to either one of the rivals.
That kid's found it hard to make time for Texas. And even though Texas was behind in his recruitment, and there are other things involved in his recruitment, we know baseball is a big part of it, and that helps the Aggies, I think. And OU has probably helped this year. Both of those programs have had better baseball seasons than the Longhorns, although the Longhorns might say we didn't win the Big 12 championship in baseball, but we are playing better baseball right now than Oklahoma is. They won the conference championship. Again, you'd think these things would make a difference, and Jonah Williams just hasn't quite. There's no official visit set with Texas. He says he wants to, but I thought making the playoffs would eliminate the I want to. I just assumed with a guy like that, it would make a lot of difference. I thought making the playoffs would take a guy like Devin Sanchez, who's the number 5 player in the country. He's from North Shore. Now, the Longhorns have a weird little North Shore thing going on in that recent years, North Shore guys in Texas haven't been working out.
Yeah.
How much would Ohio State?
How much would those 2 right there catch help it get to a 1? What if it's more Fasusi, French, Sanchez, and Lockett?
Now we're getting there, Chad.
Now you're almost there?
Look, here's the thing. Let me look at team rankings.
Sanchez is already a 5-star, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
He's the number 5 player in America. And I'm not even saying that I thought that Texas would get Devin Sanchez. I thought he'd make them give some real consideration. Now, look, last year, Texas finished 3rd in the team rankings. They signed 3 5-stars. Georgia finished number 1. They had 4. These are fine margins.
Right.
Super fine margins. If we go to 2023, Alabama was a number 1 class in America. They had 5. Texas had 3. And Texas finished 3rd in the country. Alabama finished 1st. You go to 2022, you're going to see Alabama a lot. This was the year that A&M finished number 1. How did they finish number 1? In a year where Alabama had 4 5-stars and Georgia had 5, A&M signed 6. So this is the territory that you need to end up in. You probably need 5 or 6, but 5 definitely would get you in the conversation. And the Longhorns have been kind of sitting at 3. They've signed their high 4-stars, but if it was just 2 more 5-stars, we think they're going to get Fasusi. We think they're going to get more. I think French is a strong bet. There's your 3. The difference between top 5 and maybe getting all the way over the hump to number 1 is a couple, 2 or 3 more guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little shocked that recruiting's about where it was. That and you know what? What it really means is, as an analyst, maybe I've just done a poopy job. Because as an analyst, I'm looking at the momentum that they had, and my projection is they'll get more. And in reality,
and you meant more like M-O-R-E, not a guy named Moore.
Correct. No pun here.
Right.
Not intended anyway. That it would be M-O-R-E, that there would be more momentum, that from where they were would just uptick a notch, and maybe it still will. Maybe this is all about Steve Sarkisian needs to get guys on campus, and when he does that, he wins them. So maybe we're a month away or 6 weeks away from saying number 1 class. What my Ketstradamus streak kicked in, and look, kids, they're on their way to do it. Daniel LaRusso's gonna fight, but we're not there yet. And it's the difference is so slim. But I had somebody mention to me, Chad, well, if the margins are so slim, then I'm not going to worry about it, because the difference between a number 1 class and the number 5 class in America, it's just a couple of guys, right? This is it was a great point by the poster, because it allowed me to, I hope, provide a little clarification of where this really matters. You have to do it more than once. That's how Alabama and Georgia became Alabama and Georgia. And A&M in 2022 gets 6, but they weren't able to follow it up with another recruiting class where the next year they signed 5. And the next year they signed 5. And the next thing you know, you get a 3 or 4 window cycle, and you have Alabama and Georgia talent. Well, what does that mean? It means you've got 6 to 8 more Anthony Hills in your program. You've got 6 to 8 more Jonte Cooks or Ryan Wingos in your program. And that difference, that 6 to 8, is how Georgia becomes Georgia and Alabama becomes Alabama. Because can you imagine this Texas football team with 6 more Anthony Hills on it?
Right. Oh, it's a good point. Well, that brings up this chat from Mark. Is Mark right that when Texas, not if, according to Mark, beats Michigan in the Big House, these guys will be visiting Austin? Mark is still acting, Catch, maybe like there's still an ingredient to have. Is there still a wait and see process with what's going on like that?
I'm not hearing that from anybody. That's the thing you're not hearing that has been eliminated. Is we were almost at a point last year where you started to hear some recruits say, I don't know, because they hear it from everybody. Look, Texas is an easy target when they're not winning. The A&Ms and the LSUs and the OUs and the Alabamas and the Ohio States of the world, they make it real easy. They all say the same thing. They're all talk. They're all talk, and we do it. And at the end of the day, who do you want to believe, them or your lying eyes? And what Texas was able to do and get into the playoffs eliminates that as a message. If A&M tries to do that, well, you know, they're all talk and they don't get it done, that does not work. Because they made it to the playoffs, because they're talked about going to the playoffs this year. Like Texas was able to clear a hurdle in one season. And think about how, if they lose to Oklahoma State, think about how different the narrative is about this program. We talk about slim margins. Slim margins have changed the Texas football program. The thing is, while that negative recruiting point has been eliminated, it just hasn't yet transpired, and maybe it will. I mean, it is the elephant in the room is June hasn't happened yet. And if we get to August and it's like, well, they got a commitment from Moore and they got a commitment from French and they got a commitment from Fasusi, but where are the other elite of the elite prospects? We can remember back to this conversation and go, okay, well, maybe now it's really settled that there's kind of, maybe it's just a special year. Maybe Texas hasn't proven yet in this new age, in this new era, that they can do it. A&M did it, though. So maybe it's just a matter of some serendipitous things happening where those extra couple of guys are sitting on your plate and ready to be taken. Although I would point out, the thing about the A&M year in 2022, they did that by being able to go out and getting out-of-state guys. So it wasn't like a rare year. They signed, when their 5 stars in 2022 were Tennessee, Florida, Louisiana, Georgia, and then they got 2 from Texas. So even A&M showed the pathway that it can be done. It'll be interesting to see if in 2 or 3 months, Texas looks like they're on their path towards an A&M 2022 type of class. But, you know, there were people who thought that 2022 A&M class was on paper one of the best recruiting classes of all time, Chad. And then these are those 5 stars. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Walter Nolan, Evan Stewart, Denver Harris, Jacoby Matthews. Is Lebius Overton still in the program?
No, because that's LT Overton, isn't it? Offensive line? No.
And then Shamar Stewart.
So one of the guys you just named is still there?
Yeah.
1 or maybe 2 at
One,
most?
right?
It's 1, I think.
If Overton was one of the guys that left. So
yeah,
they signed 6 that year. That does not include Chris Marshall, who also up and out of there, and Anthony Lucas up and out of there. And, you know, it gives you an indication of just how important the portal has become. I mean, that group should be underclassmen in College Station right now, and they're all gone except for one guy, but they did it. So they haven't. And again, the thing that hurt A&M was they didn't stack 3 of those classes on top of each other.
Yep.
If they had done that, Jimbo Fisher is still the coach at A&M.
Yeah, no, it's
just
point.
It's that simple, because their talent level at that point would be such that they could withstand the loss of all those guys. Instead, they haven't recruited at a level to replace what it means to lose. Nolan's a starter, Stewart's a starter, Harris, when he's not being a complete knucklehead, starter. I mean, all of these guys are the guys that we thought they were, future NFL players. The thing that has separated Texas so far is that this isn't happening to Sark's program. Other than Terrence Brooks, they haven't lost anybody that is one of their real high-level recruits, and they're mostly hitting on those guys. But if they can keep stacking what they're doing, they're going to be an annual playoff threat. If they can just take it up a notch, Chad, 2 more guys every year from what they've been doing, then they will elevate themselves into the area of talent that we've seen Georgia and Alabama work with for the last decade. And that's been the pathway truly to winning a national championship.
Up over 460 folks in the Specs chat. Good chats coming in on the topic. We will get back to that. Also thanking our great sponsors out there, including Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Ketch was talking about his mom getting a good night's sleep. I had one of the best naps of my life this weekend. My nephew graduated from high school at 8 in the morning. What the hell? 8 in the morning? So we had to get up for that. And then in the middle of the day, we got a chance to nap a little bit, man. It was a good one. Sinus and Snoring Specialist has made sure I'm sleeping a lot better since 2017. They can do the same for you. Get rid of your allergies for good, the snoring issues, the sleep apnea stuff. They can get rid of all of it. They've been doing it for over 20 years. Dr. Slaughter's got over 20 years of experience. And like I tell you, he's got surgical and non-surgical options that others just don't have. This is not a cookie cutter method where everybody's getting the same thing. There's all kinds of different paths. My wife and I are both sleeping great right now, but it's been different paths for each of us, and it'll be a different path for you too. So check them out. There's your QR code. You can call 601-0303 in that 512 area code, or check them out at sinussnoringent.com. Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. Again, lots of good chats coming in on the topic. I'm going to scan real quick, make sure we haven't got a super chat in, because you know those go right to the top of the list. So somebody threw this one in earlier, Catch. I wanted to ask you a question off of it. Somebody said, Brad says, graphic idea, show us the trending of blue bloods and recruiting blue chips. Assumption, Texas is soaring and will soon join Ohio State and Georgia. Catch, my question is, and we know, the question for today is, can it get up to number one? In the past, it's ended up and around that top five, like we talked about. Are you surprised, not only that there hasn't been, some of the momentum already, are you surprised Texas is sitting at, I saw them at 20 today in a Rivals ranking? Now, the quality's there. Of the 6 guys they've gotten, there's some good quality, 4 stars in the rankings I'm looking at. But are you surprised that we're sitting here in May, getting ready for that June deal, and it's somewhere around the bottom of the top 20? Does that part surprise you as well?
Not even that much.
Okay.
Because in each of the last couple of years, we've lived this with Sarkisian.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that this right here is the answer to that?
I mean, it's just a fact. It's not Texas spin. It is what we've watched happen in the last couple of years. I'm kind of surprised they're even sitting at 7, because I would make the case that there's a couple of guys that feel like guys you could have maybe slow played a little bit. If you're going to take Lance Jackson or KJ Lacey or even a Brandon Brown, that makes sense. But, they just took an offensive lineman in Jackson Christian. Do you remember the press conference from a couple of years ago, Chad, when Anwar asked Sarkisian? It was later in the year, and it was maybe November, and he asked Sark if Sark was worried about the fact that they didn't have maybe any offensive line commits, or maybe they had 2. I can't even remember how many they had, but he asked Sark if he was worried about offensive line recruiting, because they were waiting on DJ Campbell. They were waiting. They were trying to flip Kelvin Banks. They didn't have a commitment from Nato Yamuzalo at that point. And he said, I could have 5 offensive line commitments like that. All I'd have to do is make the call, and we could get some offensive line commitments.
Mm-hmm. I can get you a toe.
But we want the best. And to get the best, it means that we have to wait it out, and that we're in November and the offensive line numbers aren't great. But that's what it means to recruit elite of the elite. Well, outside of Fasusi, I don't see a stack of off. I don't know how patient they're going to be. Are they going to keep a spot for Lamont Rogers forever, to the point where they wouldn't take a commitment? Are they going to start taking low 4 stars and high 3 stars instead of still swinging for the fences? I think it's going to be interesting to watch how this offensive line group kind of comes together. But I was a little surprised that Jackson Christian just a week ago today, actually, I think he committed on the 13th. I'm a little surprised that they've taken him, and maybe even, I don't want to call any guys out by name. They're all good prospects. The thing is, Texas has at this point 6 4-star commitments, 1 3-star commitment. One of those is a high 4-star. 2 of those are mid 4 stars and 3 are low 4 stars, which are, there should be a 6-star and a 5-star and then 4 stars. And then I think they'd have their appropriate weight. Yeah, they're okay. What we know is Sark doesn't typically want to settle at all. So he'll go into June. The thing that nobody that hasn't been tested is Sark is like, look, Notre Dame's got like 21 commitments. Sark's at 7. Sark's whole plan is in June, we get our momentum. In June, a couple of big dogs commit. We kill these official visits. The momentum picks up, and guys just start committing to us. And by the time we get to August, we're sitting close to 20, and they're 20 from the guys that we want.
Mm-hmm.
What we haven't seen is Sark, and I don't expect that we'll see it anytime soon, but what would happen if Sark took this strategy and it failed? If there was ever a weird year where there weren't any 5 stars that wanted to commit, and then suddenly
define failed. How are you defining failed? Not a number 1 class, or are you talking about just out of the top 5? What's failed?
I think just not signing in volume super blue chip prospects.
Okay.
You want to be between 6 and 10 a year. That's kind of the sweet spot. And if there was ever a year where they signed 2 and suddenly it meant, and some of the guys directly, the problem is it's really hard for Texas to do what Matt Brown used to do back in the day, where you just show up and offer remember they got James Locke to Phillip on signing day away from Oregon. That kid went to bed thinking, I'm signing with Oregon.
Right.
And Mac just knocked on his door and got him to change his mind 5 minutes before he signed a letter of intent. Like, Texas used to have that type of juice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't quite work like that anymore. So when you focus on the top guys, that next tier of prospects down oftentimes kind of leaves Texas in the dust, and that they can't wait. Those guys can't just wait around and hope Texas misses on DeCorey and Moore, and I'm their 7th wide receiver option, and I'm just going to wait it out. That just doesn't happen a lot. So what happens is, if Texas were to ever just have a bad year where just some bad luck, bad circumstances, what they would do then would be really interesting. In the old days, you'd fill it out with lesser prospects, and you'd try to tell yourself that, well, recruiting services don't matter, and these coaches know their evaluations, but like 2 stars and 3 stars are 2 stars, 2 stars and 3 stars. But now with the portal, look, we're going to see it with some colleges where they sign 10 high school guys.
Right.
And everything else is a portal addition.
They've already done the other work. Yeah.
They want proven guys, experienced guys. These other programs that are using the portal. Texas shops in the portal for high-end Saks Fifth Avenue merchandise. The Kansas States and the TCUs of the world are searching for like the Saks half price store.
Right.
Remember they used to have like an off the rack Saks over like by Barton Springs. Do you remember that? Over by the mall? Because I only remember it because you and I used to work over off of 360, right?
Wasn't it literally called like Saks off the rack? Wasn't that what it was called?
It was like Saks off the rack.
Yeah, right.
That's what Kansas State and TCU, like that's what they're looking at. They want to fill them, like they want to get guys that are experienced, high-end talent. And I think what would be interesting to see what would ever happen is if Texas ever just said, well, we're only going to sign 10 high school guys this year. We're not going to reach and take players that are 2 or 3 or 4 year projects, and we'll just go get our stuff in the portal. And I'm not so sure that's the wrong way to do it. Like maybe, if the word was you could only take 25 if the 25-85 man still existed, how many of those 25 are you saving for transfers? Because I would make a case that Sark is still taking like 10 guys from the transfer portal. That
You're right.
Which of those receivers is he turning away? Is he turning away Trey Moore? Is he really going to let his defensive tackle position go completely unaddressed? Is he not going to take Andrew Makuba to improve his secondary that, my God, needed improvement? So the only thing keeping this conversation from looking like that is that there's no 25-man limit anymore. And so coaches are every year taking 35 guys instead of 25 guys. But if numbers ever got tight, I know what Sarkisian will say publicly. Oh, high school recruiting, it's the lifeblood of the program. And it is, but just how far would you be willing to go if you're Sark to keep that true? Is there a line that we can't ever cross that? And if we do, we're going to do something completely different, and we'll go back to the high school next year, but we're not taking a bunch of low-end 3-stars that we know are going to transfer out of the program in less than 3 years because they're either not good enough to play for us or they're not ready to play for us.
We hit 500 in the Specs chat. We appreciate you being there today. Remember to like, subscribe, get your notifications. We're trying to build that number 1 class for Texas. We got some of the big names here. I'll see if we've gotten enough for Catch here in just a second. Real quick, let me talk a little Hayes City Store. We are happy to tell you that when we head to SEC Media Days in Dallas, it will be brought to you by Hayes City Store and Taste on Main. 2 great places to eat out in the Hill Country if you want to go check them out. The Hayes City Store, that's the OG. That's the one in Driftwood that I've been talking about for a long time, right there between Kyle and Wimberley. Just incredible food, incredible drinks. I'll focus in on one aspect. If you're into frozen drinks, how about a frozen margarita flight? I've seen plenty of those out there at Hayes City Store. 40 beers on tap. If you're into whiskey, they got you covered. If you're into the vodka side of it, like me, they got you covered. All kinds of great stuff. Every attention to detail you could imagine. Just some of the best scratch-made comfort food, if you want to call it that, because it always makes me comfortable. I love going out there. The burgers, the pizza, chicken fried, whatever you love. My daughter just fell in love with enchiladas. Well, their truck stop enchiladas at Hayes City Store are pretty legendary too. Go see them. Tell Travis and Tamara we said hey. And again, they'll be a big part of getting us to Dallas for SEC Media Days in July. There's your QR code. Go check them out at Hayes City Store. All right, Catch. So I had jotted down DeCorian Moore, Fasusi, French, Sanchez, and Lockett, because somebody threw Sanchez and Lockett in there. And you said that might get us close. What if we did all that and threw a Pettyjohn in there? Does that get it to number 1?
No, because I've already got Pettyjohn factored in.
You got him factored in.
You have to sign then, a group of high 4-stars and still have to stack the class. It's just not 5 stars alone. I mean, look, there's a world out there where I would take nothing but super blue chips. I'd take maybe a half dozen more high school guys that fall under that category. And I'd say, I'd talk to my coaches and say, who's the guy you want more than anything else that you think has the highest upside, that if you can get your hands on him, he can be a future first-day NFL guy. And then I'm taking nothing but portal guys. I am all about eliminating the risk. And the fact of the matter is, when you recruit at the high school level, once you get to that low 4-star, high 3-star and below, when I talk about hit rates, we're talking about guys that become high-end, starting level players who go on to be of some value of NFL teams. Right. So I use the drafted thing. It's just it's way less specific than people think. It allows for hundreds of players to qualify every single year. There's no subjective bias in it. It's either they either thought he was a good player worthy of us drafting him or not. The odds of creating something like that are 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 at best. start getting into 1-6 and 1-7 and 1-8 and 1-10 and 1-15. And I'm a believer that if you are Texas or Texas A&M for that matter, or any of the high-end SEC teams, let the other teams be your minor league system. Why are you taking players that either A, will take 3 or 4 years to develop or just aren't good enough? Because most prospects in college football are 3-year plus projects. It takes some time. You got a red shirt. You got to get into the strength. You got to grow up and stop being a kid and become a man. And like, that's how most of the schools operate, Chad.
Right. But aren't we having, it feels like now we're having a different conversation. I thought we were building the number one class.
But I'm telling you that if I couldn't build the number one class, this is what my eject cord would look like.
I just don't think Sark should accept the word couldn't. We're trying to build him a number one class.
I told you how to do that.
Okay. So you've said margins are thin. It's 1 or 2 guys. Other than the guys we've mentioned, give me that 1 or 2 that puts it over the top. What's that 1 or 2 that drops the jaw of even the most cynical Texas fan and they go, well, damn, now it's number one?
Well, I mean, first of all, there aren't a lot of the cynical football fans around anymore. They believe in Sark. Like, belief in Sark is everywhere.
So you think they think he gets them to number one for sure?
No, not from a recruiting class standpoint.
Okay.
But I think they'll say things like, I think the average Texas fan is at a point with Sark where they're like, well, even if he doesn't get those guys, I trust his evaluations, and Sark I trust, and I don't even care. I mean, I've seen it as early as today. There are people who are saying, yeah, if Sark recruits well, great. If he doesn't, I still believe in him. He'll get his guys. And I think some of that is portal related.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's impossible, I think, to ignore the presence in the portal. Maybe what Rivals needs to do more than anything else is update how recruiting classes are. The thing is, they do it the way they've done it because it's the way they've always done it. And so there's this sense, well, on signing day, we have to have team rankings. We have to have rankings, and we got to be able to put them out there so that the national media can cite our rankings. And so-and-so was the number one recruiting class. But what they're really saying is they're the number one recruiting class in December or the number one recruiting class in February. But what does it mean? Like, if you're Texas and you added the transfer class that you just did, maybe then you should be talked about as the number one recruiting class in the country. That I wonder how long it takes before the combined recruiting classes become the recruiting class rankings that people pay attention to.
Yeah, and obviously that's being done. Like, that's being factored in now. There are rankings that'll put them all together.
I don't even know what those look like, though. Like, they're not mainstream enough,
right?
That I can even tell you what the combined rankings look like, and the rankings haven't been around long enough to trust what they mean. I think we're still in this early phase of, well, what does it mean to get it? I know what it means. I can mathematically tell you the value of a top 50 kid in high school football recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that in the transfer portal yet, that the sample size of successes and failures isn't such that data is known. But I would say when I looked at it a couple of years ago, the very first year of the like wide scale portal, that 80% of the top 50 prospects that from the Athletics rankings that year, shout out to the Athletic. I just decided to use your rankings because Rivals didn't have them at the time. 80% were starters in year one, which that's a high hit rate. And most of the guys that weren't starting were injured. That, you know, if you're talking about the top 50 and you're talking about 20% of the time, there's 10 guys. Of those 10 guys, half of them were injured. There was only a real, like 10% went to a school and weren't good enough to start right away. A lot of those guys became NFL drafted players. almost 20% became All-Americans. Like, there was a high number. Almost 10 of the top 50 or more than that became All-Americans at the school they were at. It's just, I know it's a little too nerdy for some people, but boy, it is the amount of risk that you assume through the portal if you go at it the right way is just far less than what you'll find in high school football recruiting, which is one of the great pseudosciences of all time. And I'm a child of this pseudoscience. And I've made it my life's mission to try to educate people on the value of prospects and the value of rankings. I'm not there yet. I'll probably be fighting that uphill battle the rest of my life. I just wonder when the portal becomes a big part of it. Right now, it's not. Right now, they're talked about as two separate things.
Couple things here, Catch. First off, check out our guy, Buck Wild Longhorn. Chad and Catch, I hope you're proud of me. I got married this last Saturday. Well done, Buck Wild Longhorn. That means right at the end of that wedding, they said, I now pronounce you man and wife. And somebody just hit the horn.
Buck Wild, I want to know, what was y'all's first dance? What was the first song?
Oh, I can tell you that one. The theme from Smokey and the Bandit. Done. Boom. Eastbound and down, baby.
With all due respect to Chad's prediction,
yeah, what?
Buck Wild, I'd love to know what song you guys danced to.
Yes, congratulations, dude. If he says Convoy, I'm gonna die. That would be the greatest trucker dance song at a wedding ever. If they actually dance to Convoy, that would be the best.
What was your first dance song?
Me?
Yes.
We danced to a wonderfully cheesy hair metal tune by White Lion called Till Death Do Us Part. Because that's who we are. Because Mike Tramp gets me emotional, and my wife agreed, and we just had to go with it. Yeah.
I'm so glad I asked that question.
Yeah, you are. That was the first one. That was it. All right. So I'll tell you what, Catch. If you didn't already grab the box of Rogue Shop stuff.
Oh man,
okay.
One of the things I love about Rogue is they put them in these little containers with like the artwork and stuff on them. It's just cool to have around the house.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I don't know if you guys can even make that out, but it's got like the weird Baltimore Raven looking guy. It's a very Edgar Allan Poe-ish.
The Raven looking guy.
Yeah, the very Edgar Allan Poe-ish. These are the moon rocks, though, that I was just telling you about. Okay. These little bad boys right here.
There it is.
There's a little chunk off of that. My mom is sleeping for the night.
Mom takes a quarter of that, and she's ready to go. All right, shout out to Rogue. Also, shout out to AV Consultations. Let's play the AV Consultation spot. Texas football fans, you have 103 days to get set up.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations. Today's home electronics can be a bit daunting. My company has spent the last 36 years making sure they are not. For those of you who have not experienced our services yet, we'd like to invite you to give us a try for all your home electronics needs. We carry all the major brands of televisions and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And we come to you. There's no need to leave your home to find great pricing and incomparable service. No traffic, inexperienced sales geeks, or pushy showroom tactics. We believe in having some fun and dreaming big. You have a dream for your home entertainment? Let us know. We can make it come true. And we are always there to help after the job is done. We cultivate clients for a lifetime by treating everyone like their family. No, not those family members. I'm talking about the ones you actually like. So relax, hug your kids, make love to your wife, and smile. Then, when you have a moment, give us a call at 255-8678. That's 512-255-8678. Or online at avconsultations.com.
All right, Catch, we got your answer. Look at this. Buck Wild Longhorn has a cousin who's a songwriter and wrote us an original. All right. There it is.
No pressure.
Very cool. That's one you'll have.
It's very cool, but man, what a lot of pressure you're putting on your cousin at that point.
Yeah, I'm sure he or she they were ready. They were ready to nail it. Congratulations, Buck Wild Longhorn. We hope it is a long and healthy marriage. Ben throws in, grabbing the number one class isn't important like that anymore. You won't see Sark load up on 30 plus high school kids in a class anymore. I think the sweet spot is between 20 to 25 prospects. I guess we kind of hit that today, Catch, but for you, the number, is that still going to be like each year moving forward with the portal? Do you still think the number one class has to have a certain number in it? Or is there now going to be an even closer look at quality instead?
It's all about quality. I don't think the sweet spot is 22 to 25 prospects. I think that is too many.
You think it's more like 18
or lower?
Yeah, 15.
Because again, you're stacking up long shots. You take your super blue chips, the elite of the elite guys, and most schools can't sign super blue chips. So I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about Baylor. I'm not talking about Texas Tech. I'm not talking about Kansas State or Vanderbilt. I'm talking about Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, and Ohio State. That's the company, right? That's what Texas is aspiring to be, elite of the elite. There's no reason to take 22 to 25 prospects when probably half of those at a minimum are going to be guys that are 1 in 6 shots to make it at best. At that point, I think you're just taking too many because you're not magically going to change the hit rate on those numbers consistently. It's not ever anything that anybody's consistently done. I know people will say, look at Alabama. They've had some 2-stars. They're hitting at the same rates. In fact, the thing about Georgia and Alabama that most people don't know is that they hit on their super blue chips at lower rates than the national average. But they get so many goddamn super blue chips that they eliminate their deficiencies with just volume. So I disagree with the sweet spot being 22 to 25 high school guys. I think if it was me, it would be even less.
Gotcha. All right, we're headed towards buy or sell. Real quick, before we do that, let's let you hear from Lisa and Specs. Get all stocked up. Maybe you have graduation parties coming up, or you just got done with one and you need to restock. Here's Lisa to tell you about Specs.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right, in addition to buy or sell, Catch, I have a strange national championship question for you on the way out the door. So do you want to do that first and then buy or sell, or do you want to do buy or sell first?
Let's do buy or sell first.
All righty. You want to go first or second?
I'll go first today.
All right.
Buy or sell, number one, the Big 12 should be ashamed of itself for allowing Texas to punk it so bad in 2023, 2024.
Yeah, I mean, it's a buy. It's obviously the history of the program and the cloud of the program is one thing, but Texas they hadn't quite been on that kind of a pace. The one thing you couldn't have if you're those other schools is to have either Texas or Oklahoma or both do that. Have that kind of a last lap, victory lap, and, get to do the small things, everything they're doing in basketball now. Like, Texas really does get to flex on the way out the door. The rest of the conference cannot say a word right now.
Buy or sell, number two. You ain't scared? Mavs over T-Wolves in 6 or 7.
Whoo! I'm going to take it apart. I ain't scared. I'm certainly not scared. I'm interested to see if the Mavs can D up the T-Wolves, but I'm going to sell the second part. I'll lean towards the team that's got the home court advantage. I know in some series that doesn't matter. The Mavs being dead even, Catch, 50-50 home road doesn't give me a ton of confidence either way. They were exactly the same at home and on the road, so I never know what to expect out of them. I'll give the T-Wolves a little bit of credit on the pick, but I'm definitely not scared of the series. I want to see what the Mavs can do.
Buy or sell, number three. The PGA Championship kept your attention all weekend.
Oh, it's a capital B buy. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Xander Schauffele trying to get a major, and he's got dogs coming to get him. Not just guys, but dogs. Guys that have won majors. In one case, a guy that had won multiple majors. Big hitters. He had to get 21 under. No one's ever done that in the history of a major. And Bryson DeChambeau said, to beat me, you're going to have to get to 21 under. And Xander buried the putt. Well done, golf. I was in.
I was too, but I got to say, I don't like it when they're going 21 under.
See, what I dig about the two American tournaments that move around is the U.S. Open pushes hard, the PGA pulls back a little bit, and we get to see a show sometimes. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it that it took that, and he still found a way to get there. That was pretty damn cool.
Give me my U.S. Open. I like it when guys are struggling.
You want 2.5 foot rough. You want dudes hitting into cactuses.
I do.
Okay. There are a lot of golf fans out there like you.
I like it when -5 wins it. And you can still have the same type of leaderboard. I don't know. It felt like they were playing at a Muni this weekend. Buy or sell number 4. This is an odd question. You just need to be ready for it. That sometimes when I'm preparing buy or sell questions, my head goes in different places.
Okay.
Buy or sell. 35 years ago today, Paula Abdul's Forever Your Girl hit number 1 on the Billboard Top 100. But you think Straight Up is Paula Abdul's best song.
Interesting.
If you need me to sing either of those for you.
You know what? I would. Well, actually, just out of curiosity, I would like to hear your Straight Up. If you
Straight Up now, tell me it's gonna be you and me together. Oh, or are you just having fun?
Okay, I can see Arsenio in the video. It's well done. Well done. Let's see. You know what? I'm just going to be a slave to the video, and I'm going to sell the whole thing and go cold-hearted snake. I'm sorry. I got to do it. I'm just selling the whole thing.
I would sell the whole thing, too. I'm a big fan of Rush, Rush. I can feel it. I can feel it all through me.
See, you're
Rush,
such a...
Rush.
You really are. We really are both sick on the same level because I was just about to, you beat me by 1 second. I was just about to say, or I would go to the acting chops of her and Keanu Reeves.
That's right.
In the Rush video. So yes, I'll sell it.
If you haven't seen the Rush video, watch that today.
Dude,
it's a movie.
It's a little mini movie. She's sexy as hell. And in every scene, for some reason, she is a little bit she's just damper than she needs to be. And it's fantastic.
All right. And finally, I went Man's Game. Prime on Prime, hotter than.
All right.
Susan Sarandon.
Oh, my.
Hotter than Kirstie Alley.
Notice how I said, oh, my, with Susan Sarandon. For the fans, they'll appreciate that. Okay. Prime on Prime.
I gotta say, I saw a photo of Susan Sarandon this weekend, a young Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
It was from 1978. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's her in those sort of old school, almost like a black and white pictures and stuff like that. You go back to that. It's incredible. I'm thinking of a certain period for each one, both very attractive, both have some sexy to them. Both are definitely hot in their prime. I'll buy and go Susan Sarandon. I'm thinking of that character in the movie. Kirstie is probably hurt by the fact that she was more a TV hottie, and movie hottie is always going to be a tick above TV hottie for me, but I'm going to go with Susan Sarandon.
I'm with you on that. I think Susan Sarandon in 2024, I don't think people realize how hot, she annoys people, a lot of people. Her politics are not for everybody. She is so fine, though, that I think if she were 22 again with the same politics, I think men would put up with it.
Yeah, she was incredible. Man.
Those black and white photos that you're talking about. Whoa.
They're incredible. And Bull Durham is one of those movies for me that it holds up because of her and Costner and Roberts. Those performances just get better and better. All right, Catch, here we go. Let's start with some Texas football, and we'll work through the math. Buy or sell number one. Gunnar Helm caught 14 passes last year and 2 touchdowns. Nyblack had 20 catches and 4 touchdowns. Together in 2024, you think they're going to get to 45 catches and 8 touchdowns?
So, too much.
Too much?
Yeah.
Okay. The 45 catch mark would be Sanders' number, but Sanders only had 2 touchdowns last year.
He also was hurt last year. I mean,
yep, that's true.
You know, he started the season and his projections were for a much, much better season. And then he got hurt. And then for a lot of the season, it just wasn't the same guy. So I think I think the 8 touchdowns is where I sell. I don't think those guys, I can see them getting to 45 catches combined, not 8 touchdowns.
Gotcha. All right, here we go. Catch, buy or sell number 2. Texas softball will get to the World Series, and they'll sweep the Aggies in 2 to do it.
Buy. Yeah. A&M's good. Texas is better. They're at home. I expect Texas to handle its business.
Going to be a fun series, and that'll become normal in the new SEC. Can't wait for that. Catch, buy, or sell number 3. Anderson Silva is going to box Chael Sonnen. You wouldn't watch if I paid you.
If you paid me, I'd watch it.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like a whore for saying such a thing.
Yeah.
Because really, who out there is like, Anderson's going to fight Chael in a box? Yes. I don't know who's doing that. But hey, man, I appreciate the hustle. Good luck, guys.
Like all these other circus fights, I'm just hoping I can stay away because I'll feel better about myself that night. All right, Catch, let's go to the world of professional wrestling for number 4. Andre the Giant would have been 78 yesterday. If you could go back in time, you would give Andre at least 1 legit title run, maybe 3 to 5.
Buy. I don't know that they used Andre the Giant completely properly as a wrestler. That if they really wanted to, who would ever beat that guy? Like if they just wanted to make him a monster that scared little children, made people I watch the old Andre the Giant matches and they're hard to believe because he's got to sell that he's losing to these guys. And most of them can't even get on top of him. So yeah, I think there's a world out there where Andre the Giant's the greatest wrestler of all time. And he's used in such a devastatingly powerful way that, he could have had a big run. And I never completely understood, and looking back, why I guess it comes down to like his ability to sell, cut promos, and
I don't know,
do the thing.
I had to be reminded of this today. Do you remember the only time he got the WWF title and the circumstances? The only time they ever let him have the belt is when the $1 Million Man conspired to use Earl Hebner's twin to be the referee. Again, here we go. To be the referee, he called Hogan. He rang the bell at 1. He pinned Hogan. He called the bell at 1. They handed the belt to Andre, and Andre gave it to the $1 Million Man. Then they vacated and did a tournament at WrestleMania 4. He had it for 5 minutes, if that. That's pathetic. Vince McMahon, wherever you are, you couldn't get 1 decent title run out of Andre the Giant.
They could have made him an Ivan Drago kind of character where everything he hits, he destroys.
Right. And by the way, maybe the dumbest argument in the world would be, come on, Chad, in a real fight. Oh, stop right there. You're in the world of professional wrestling. Anything's possible.
Well, look what they did with Goldberg.
I mean,
if they could turn Goldberg into what he was, why couldn't they do that with Andre the Giant?
I agree. I totally agree. Happy birthday to the memory of the great Andre the Giant. Would have been 78 yesterday. Go check out some old matches and Princess Bride. Catch finally buy or sell number 5. Cher is 78 today. If you could attend a Vegas concert in their prime for either Cher, Celine, Madonna, Britney, or Gaga, you'll see Madonna. Prime show, wherever you want to go.
All right. Let's start the list all over again. It's Cher.
Uh-huh.
Second one was
Celine Dion.
So I'm taking Celine at that point.
Okay.
Celine versus Madonna. I'm taking Madonna.
Okay.
Madonna versus Britney. I'm taking Madonna.
All right.
Gaga. Madonna versus Gaga is the tough one, but I think I'm going to take Madonna because at the end of the day, it's Madonna.
Interesting. Okay. There's something in my soul. I've never seen, actually, to be fair, I've never seen any of these 5. There is something that tells me I want to see Cher in Vegas. There's just something about it that has to be great. I think I'd go with Cher.
Thing is, other than like, if I could turn back time, I don't know a lot of Cher songs.
Okay. I got you.
Whereas, if I go to Madonna, she's going to play all the bops.
Right. You're going to know more. You'll just
I'm
know
going to know like every song and the ability to enjoy a concert. I oftentimes don't think concerts are the best places to be introduced to new music because it's hard to listen to the songwriting at times when you're at a live show. You're into the performance at a live show.
Mm-hmm.
So it just helps to know the songs as opposed to, not.
That's fair enough. Happy birthday to Cher today, 78. Parts of her are, of course, 20 or 15, but Cher is 78. All right, Catch, anything?
I could turn back time.
Oh, man, she's wonderful. Love her. Love all 5 of those, actually. And by the way, speaking of one of those 5, the Lady Gaga concert hits this weekend on HBO, if people care about that. What's it called? The Chromatica Ball concert. We're having a big run of like female badasses in concert movies. So Gaga's up next on HBO if you care. All right, Catch, anything else we need to hit today? I'm going to scan the chats, see if we have any super chats.
I, for some reason, now have If I Could Turn Back Time stuck in my head.
Oh, what a great.
If I could find a way.
Great video.
I take back those words that hurt you. And you'd stay.
I always watch that video thinking about, because they did it on that aircraft carrier, and there are like legitimate military guys in the background. I always think about like, that's a great story to be able to tell. Yeah, they just told us you want to come be an extra in a Cher video, and we said sure. And then
she stared at her ass for 3 hours.
She showed up looking like that. We wanted as many takes as it would take. We were good. Yeah. There you go. Sal's throwing in a little Cher is awesome. Yes, she is, Sal. Yes, she is. Paxton. Yes, exactly. Believe. You believe.
Oh, there is that song. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'd be good. Good stuff.
You're right. Maybe I do know more Cher songs than I'm fessing up to.
It's just that you grew up in Madonna's prime. That's why.
I'm a child of. I can remember when I was 10 years old, when what was the movie that she did?
Desperately Seeking Susan.
I can remember seeing Desperately Seeking Susan.
Right.
When I was like 10 years old, it was like, that's Madonna.
Right. Yeah. You got to witness her prime in real time, and we did not say that. We couldn't say the same for Cher. We didn't get to. Yeah, we just didn't get to see it real time. She used to be on. Can you imagine if like Madonna was on a variety show with her husband every week? Like,
no, I can. It's weird, but I can. I've seen the videos, so I can't imagine it.
Dude, if she and Sean Penn had done a variety show, that would have been one of the weirdest TV shows of all time. Just imagine that for a second. Him doing weird.
Cher do a variety show with Sean Penn?
No, I'm saying if Madonna and Sean Penn.
Oh.
had done the Sonny and Cher vibe.
Yeah.
Then instead of like songs, it would have been Madonna does the songs and then Sean Penn just stares into the camera and talks about life. It could have been really
very
weird.
pouty.
Yes. He would have pouted a lot.
All right, let's wrap it up, Chad.
All right. Thank you for liking and subscribing and getting your notifications to Orange Bloods Live. Also, remember, coming up at 4 this afternoon, the recruiting hour will hit you. Talk about recruiting as the 2025 class starts to heat up, about to heat up in June, you would think. We'll get into some of that today in the 4 o'clock hour. Thank you for supporting it. Almost 600 folks.
Reach the stars.
Almost
I
600
give them
folks
all to you.
in the chat as we get ready to close.
And you love me, love me.
Very good. If I could turn back time. For all you Cher fans and all you non-Cher fans, have yourself a good Monday. We'll be back tomorrow at noon for a Tuesday show. We are House Divided. Oh!